Welcome to the Web Marketing That Works podcast, episode number 90, with today's guest, Wayne Breitbarth.
Welcome to the Web Marketing That Works podcast. Come behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments and listen in as amazing guests confess the truth about what really works. Now, here are your hosts, Adam Franklin and Toby Jenkins.
My name's Adam Franklin, and you are listening to the Web Marketing That Works podcast. This is the show for people like you and like me who love marketing on the web. I'll be taking you behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments so that I can show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, this show is brought to you by mine and Toby's book, which is called Web Marketing That Works. And there's a special gift for you, the listener, which is the 33 free marketing templates from our book. You can download those for free if you head to bluewiremedia.com.au/book. So if you didn't get that, hit rewind on your podcast and listen to it again, but it's bluewiremedia.com.au/book. And you can get your hands on all of our marketing templates for free. Today's guest is a gentleman by the name of Wayne Breitbarth. Interestingly, his name just kept coming up from people that I know and trust. First of all, from Judy Robinette, who is a previous guest on this podcast. She introduced me to him and said I should get him on the show. And secondly, Ron Wilson was one of the other keynote speakers on the recent roadshow that I did. And he was talking about networking and specifically how LinkedIn is a very valuable tool for that. And he mentioned none other than Wayne Breitbarth from powerformula.net as somebody that everybody in the audience or in the audiences around Australia should pay close attention to. So when those two people are referring the same person, I pay attention, and I was very excited when Wayne agreed to come on the show. So just quickly, Wayne is a best-selling author of the book called The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success. Kickstart your business, brand, and job search. He's a LinkedIn coach and trainer based in the United States, and let us get on with the show. My name's Adam Franklin, and thrilled to be joined by Wayne Breitbarth. How's things, Wayne?
Adam, things are great here. It's going to be fun being with you tonight.
It sure is. Now, I've come across your name many times from a whole bunch of different people, so it's an absolute thrill to have you on the line. You are a LinkedIn expert, a LinkedIn consultant and trainer, and you're known for this power formula for LinkedIn success. Now, that's the name of your book, but also your formula. Can you talk us through this power formula for LinkedIn, please?
Sure, I would love to do that. So the power formula is pretty simple, and just the story behind it is sort of crazy. I was teaching LinkedIn for about a year and a half or 2 years. It dawned on me when there was a day that I taught a bunch of business owners in the morning, and then I drove to a college, actually my alma mater, in the afternoon. And then I taught a LinkedIn class to college students. And on the way home from that class is when I realized I had to teach that differently. And I was thinking to myself, what did I have to do differently between the business owners in the morning and the students in the evening? And it was this, that the power of LinkedIn is really unique experiences and unique relationships. And the people in the morning had tons of both of those, yet the students in the evening were short on both of those. But the third component of the formula, besides the unique experience and unique relationships, is just the tool itself. And in the morning, those business owners were like frustrated and they don't like social media and it's confusing and blah, blah, blah. And in the evening, that part was easy because they were on Facebook and LinkedIn's easy and I don't need a book to learn how to use LinkedIn. So the three components, the audience were just totally different in what they were struggling with to really capitalize on LinkedIn, right? So it's sort of, so I encourage people that LinkedIn is designed for people with lots of experience and lots of unique relationships. And so my encouragement always to baby boomers especially is that, listen, this is the social media tool that's built for us, but we're only going to have this advantage for a little while. And they like that.
Right, of course, because, I mean, they've got the experience, they've got the relationships. It's just a tool that they need to wrap their head around and understand how it works. So what are some of the tips you give to, especially the baby boomers or people who aren't yet on LinkedIn? What are some of the basic tips you provide just to get them started to overcome that really scary part of diving into it?
Yeah, what I do to sort of get buy-in, and that really is across the board, the buy-in, Adam. Even I've been doing this for 8 years, and it's still amazing how much there's still a buy-in issue. But what I try to do is I try to show people, do some searches, tell me the kind of customers you're trying to meet. And all of a sudden, I'll pull up this list, doing an advanced search on LinkedIn, and I'll say, look at this list. We've never had a list like this before. So when I show them the database, that LinkedIn is really almost like take the idea that it's a social media site and put that off to the side for a little bit here. And let's look at it as the best database of business professionals we've ever had in our life. And when I start showing them the search engine tool and how we can look deeply into profiles, all of a sudden they go, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. But then what creeps them out is that then they start fearing about their employees being poached, right? So there's that other part of the formula, right? The idea that, well, but if I can find other people, then other people can find my people. And I go, yeah, that's one of the things that you're going to struggle with. So the tips I give them is, number one, understand what the landscape is and how it works. And number two, go find out what other people are doing in your industry and your space and your competitors, maybe even before you start putting together your strategy, so that you can start to really get a feel for, number one, how the tool works, but number two, how are other people either using it either effectively or not effectively, so you can start to put together your own strategy.
Yeah, yep. So it's such a powerful way to look at it that it's, every single professional or business owner on the planet, just about over 200 million active users. And I guess once you forget about the fact that it's a social platform, which can scare a lot of people or rattle them a bit. But when you think about exactly as you said, it's every single professional or business owner on the planet. And we've got that at our fingertips and we can look at there. And not only that, but you can see that depth, their work history, the people they know, the groups they're associated with. So it's incredibly easy these days, I guess, to find that common ground or an interesting project that they're working on, so that then it enables you to have that information that you need to open the door or start that conversation with whoever it is that you're looking to either form relationships with or hopefully win over as customers in due course. But I guess that also opens the door for a lot of spammy type of introductions or connections. What's your take on how to handle all the people that either request you and you don't actually know them versus, building out your network? I know you got some interesting thoughts in the book, but can we talk a bit about that now, Wayne?
Sure. Your connection strategy is going to be foundational for everything you do, not just who you're connecting with, but then that leads into what you're going to put on your profile. But that being said, I think following a strategy that says I'm only going to connect with people that I've ever met, which is a very typical strategy for people. If I didn't talk to them on the phone or I've never met them, then I'm not going to connect. I think to myself, for most people, that's a nutty strategy, because most of us want to have more people in our life to move the ball forward, to go places we couldn't go. So when you get an invitation from somebody who you don't know, it's not an automatic, forget this, I never met this dude. You have to really step back, look at their profile, and ask yourself the question. And I always let's put it this way. If you sat next to this guy and were able to have a beer tonight at some chamber event, would you be thrilled? Is there something on his profile that could resonate with how you could help him or how he could help you? And lots of times there is that kind of thing. Now, we do get invitations from people halfway around the world, and it's probably a spammer, and they want our email address. And yes, that's one of the frustrations that I have to explain to most people is, like everything in life, it ain't all good, right? You're going to have to deal with that because the rewards are going to exceed the benefits, but you are going to have some of these things you go, oh my gosh, these people are spamming me. I just connected with her and I already got 3 messages about how she's stuck in London and needs a $3 million wire exchange. Right. So, it's stepping back once again and saying, we have never been blessed with a database of resumes on steroids and be able to see who knows who in our lifetime. We think about the databases we used to pay for, like the purchasing manager's database, and we get it twice a year. And boy, we were so excited when we got one of those. Like, oh my gosh, the new database is here. This is going to be fun. Well, it was always outdated by the time we got it. And this database is perfect.
And do you think the fact that it's free, LinkedIn provides this service to all of us? I mean, sure, you can pay for the premium package, but so much value is available in the free service. Do you think sometimes because it's free, we don't value it enough? If someone was selling this product 15 years ago or 10 years ago, people would be paying top dollar, and we're getting it for free. And I sometimes think maybe we just undervalue it.
Oh, I think you're so right about that. There is no question that if this would have come out as, we have this great database for you, would you mind spending 10 or $20 a month to get a hold of this database? People have been writing checks out. But the key here, the key, Adam, is this. LinkedIn's got to watch themselves a little bit so that when they change their pricing model, which they did a bunch of that at the beginning of this year, they've got to make sure they still try to appeal to the masses. Because if the masses aren't on it, then it's not the database that you and I need.
It's critical to have all those people on there, isn't it? That's where the value lies, hey?
Sure.
Okay. So let's have a look at, I guess, the first part of it is being strategic and proactive in appreciating that there's a database of everybody who you could possibly want to do business with. What are some tips you've got for actually reaching out to people in an effective way so that they firstly don't come across as spammy, but more importantly, they come across as a valuable person and that actually gets a response from the desired target?
Okay, so let's assume that you've used one of the multitude of tools to find the right people, right? And then to your question is, how do you reach out to them so that you begin that conversation, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So you've got this list, or you looked at the alumni and you found the right people. The key is this. What's on their profile that can open the door that you can include in your connection request so that you customize, and what I call it is a 5-star connection request. And that means you never, ever, 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 Adam, use the connection request that says, I'd like you to join my network on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is just a total mistake. To me, it's disrespectful. It's no way to begin a relationship. So then the key is what's on the profile. And what I like to use, the number one thing to use on the profile to open that right door is if the person's a second degree, is to get a hold of your first degree people that you have in common and have conversations, email or phone call or whatever, and ask that person about the person that they know that you want to meet. And if you can get some insights, that will really help, and use those insights in your connection strategy. That will really help. And it could be as simple as saying, hey, you know this guy, he's your buddy. I'm an accounting firm. You think he's happy with his accounting firm? I mean, he'd be a perfect guy that you sit down and talk to. We've got some great services. And if he goes, no, he'll never leave because his brother-in-law is the managing partner, right? Oh, great. That's a time saver. Why bother with him, right? So the key is your friend might be able to give you some insights, whether you're looking for employees or looking for customers or looking for donors or whatever. So that's my first step. My first step is to see who we got in common and see if I could gain some insights. My second step is just to look at the other things on the profile, like where they went to school, what kind of hobbies we have in common, what kind of groups are we in that are the same. Did we work around sort of the same space or same location? And try to find something that allows you to say something in that invite that's interesting to them. And maybe it's just the fact that it looks like he uses vendors that are in your space and you're not one of his vendors, and you find a way to share with them in the invite how you could help them, whether it's we run these free webinars or we have this white paper I'd love to share with you. Or in my case, you know what I do when I'm trying to get a hold of radio hosts, guys like yourself? I do advanced search with the radio show host, and my invitation to guys like you would be, hi, I saw you have a business radio show. I'm interested in being on it. I've got a best-selling book on LinkedIn. I'd love to send you a copy and then maybe talk about being scheduled for your show. That's what I put right in the invitation. And then before you know it, well, okay, the guy's going to give me a book. He's a LinkedIn trainer. I'm looking for good content into my radio show. And I get a very high percentage of those people fire back and at least ask for the book initially. But then secondly, usually either right away or down the road, they'll say, okay, we've got openings on these dates. So to me, it's you trying to figure out how you can help their pain point, or maybe vice versa. It really sort of depends what your strategy is again. And it's making sure that connection request, which we only get 300 characters, so you can't go on and on and on, and you cannot have a link, and you cannot have an attachment to that. Then the key, Adam, is if he or she says yes, then a thank you message, okay? That's a critical step, is after they connect, and not 2 seconds after they connect, because that's sort of creepy, but fairly shortly after, you say, thanks for connecting. I'm honored you did that. I would like to follow up with that phone call I mentioned, or I'm going to be in your neighborhood. Could I stop by? Or now you could include a link or attach something to your message to move the ball down the field as well. So I think that's how, to me, the next two steps should go. The critical invitation that's custom, 5-star invitation, and then a thank you note once you get connected.
Awesome. That's really cool. What I particularly like about that is that extra tiny bit of effort, that 1% of effort to actually reach out to your mutual connection, to ask them a question about the person you're about to reach out to get, well, firstly, that just to demonstrate you've done that extra bit of research. But secondly, you might actually discover a valuable nugget of information, which in your example means that you may not pursue them as much. But in other examples might mean you've got that even more compelling thing to put in that 300 character message connection request, which makes you stand out head and shoulders above everybody else who's just doing those generic ones, which you said not to do, the will you please be someone in my network request.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Adam, even if the person doesn't connect with you, because let's say that you're not in their connection strategy, right? You're going to get their attention.
Yeah, you are, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, not everybody. I mean, sometimes you get drowned in connection requests, and I just logged into mine the other night, and I realized I'd actually missed a few from a few months ago when I did a speaking roadshow. And there was a whole bunch of people that did exactly what you're saying. And the good example, I should say, of actually putting in a personalized message and saying, Adam, I saw you speak at this event. It'd be great if we can connect. And I missed a couple because there was just a whole bunch of other ones that had buried them further down the list. But luckily, I did find them. But when you've got hundreds in your LinkedIn inbox, then they're the ones that stand out because firstly, it starts with, hi, Adam. And then there's a personalized message. So they're very easy to, when you're scanning through, go through and actually connect with those people and reply back to their message and to initiate that conversation.
Yeah, so I get 50 or 60, sometimes even 80 or 90 invitations a week because of speaking in the book and all that, right? And what I'll do is I go through those at a time when I know I've got enough time, and I'll look at the headlines. The headline looks interesting. I'll click to the profile. And if I see somebody in there that I need to reach out to and talk about an event or something, it'll be totally custom. But the other people that I decide to connect with, I have a standard message that I send out and say, thank you for connecting with me. I appreciate you doing so. I look forward to being a LinkedIn resource for you going in the future. One way to get that started would be for you to start receiving my free weekly LinkedIn tips. Would you like to be on the list? Half the people get back to me and say, sure, that'd be great. I'd love to get started learning from your free weekly tips. And there they go on my email list.
Oh, that's something that I hadn't thought of. That's really cool. So do you actually connect with them as well on LinkedIn, or do you just guide them to the email list as the first place to get to know you properly?
So they've sent me the invite, right, to connect. And then I respond with thanks for the connection request. Would you like to be on my list? Then since I'm connected, I do have their email address. I can just go to their profile, grab the email address, and put it onto a little spreadsheet that my wife puts it into Infusionsoft for me.
That's really cool. That is really, really cool. All right. So that's a really great discussion on how to actually connect with people and reach out to them. On the flip side of that is, I guess, if you want to become an attraction business and you've done the hard work, you've got the runs on the board as in whatever profession or business that you do, and what are some of the things you can be doing using LinkedIn's free tools to be positioning yourself as the expert or the authority, to be attracting the right types of people to approach you with offers or connection requests or interview requests or anything of the sort?
Okay, that whole strategy first revolves around having a great profile, which we could do another whole program just on what's a great profile. But great profiles for me, especially if you're in the business development world, is just making sure that it's very customer focused and that it's doesn't look like a resume. But the activities for getting people to your profile, and like you said, hoping to get phone calls and emails about what you do, is making sure that you're staying in front of people. Now, the brand new publishing feature on LinkedIn, which has been out for almost a year now for all of us, that was only for the influencers in the beginning, I think that is a great starting point to make sure that you are in front of people with it in a way of expertise using that published post. And the nice thing about it is if you're already blogging, you can cut and paste your blog into there. And I know some of the Google people say that it's a hang up, but the more we're digging into that, the more we're not finding it's that big of a deal that you can repurpose your blog post. So number one, use the published posts, and those will go out to your followers, but also it may get picked up by LinkedIn and shared lots of times. And now there's brand new analytics on the published posts where you can actually see the people who are sharing and commenting. You actually see who the people are. So you can say thank you, and you can add a connection to the people that are getting your published post and following you but not connected. I've just started doing that pretty methodically as well. Number 2, make sure you're using status updates and sharing information on a consistent basis. Other people's articles about LinkedIn and social media for me, and sometimes the area of the nonprofits I'm involved in. So using status updates, posting a couple of status updates a day, maybe considering using a tool like a Hootsuite or a TweetDeck or a Buffer in order to be efficient in that way, I think is very important. And groups, to some extent, although the group thing seems to be going through some transformation at LinkedIn, and they put in a whole bunch of anti-spam policies recently. And I think that right now my time being spent in groups has been backing off because of some of the rules that LinkedIn has instigated recently. I'm hoping that they're trying to do the right thing by getting the groups to be more truly virtual discussions. But I think they've gone a little bit too far, and to the point where you can't even answer a question with a blog post, even if it answers the question and all this kind of stuff. So I think it's those kinds of activities to make sure that you sort of get a routine or a cadence about them. Oh, one more is to make sure that you're consistently looking at what is the number one feature on LinkedIn, Adam. The number one feature on LinkedIn, based on my survey that I take, is who's viewed your profile. It's making sure that you look at that list as frequently as you need to in order to make sure you don't miss somebody who has looked at your profile, because that feature is number one rated, and I'm pretty sure it's because it's the only social media tool where we get to see who scoped us out.
It's pretty neat, hey?
Yep.
And what should you do once you found out someone scoped you out? Would you connect? Would you reach out to them? Would you just observe them for a bit longer, or how would you play that?
No, the way I play that is, let's say I look at the last 5 people who looked at me, and one of them is right in my wheelhouse, and I'm not connected. I send a connection request right away, and I say, "Hi, I saw you checked out my profile. I looked at yours too. I help companies like yours all the time. Would you be interested in a phone call? In the meantime, I'd be honored to have you join my network." Something like that. I always end, Adam, all of my invitations to, let's call them strangers, but hopefully not strangers for long, with where did we meet, or where did I see you, or what group are we in, or what my friend sent you over for this, or whatever. And I always close with, I would be honored to have you join my network. I mean, there's just something about that word that just is just so friendly and purposeful, yes, but also just honest, that, hey, I'm not going to start ramming you with spam the day after we connect. I'm going to treat you respectfully, and we're going to honor each other in this relationship. And so I reach right out to them. I don't hesitate, because a friend of mine said, Wayne, and I was not using this tool until it came up to be the number one feature in my profile, my survey for the last 3 years. And my friend said, Wayne, here's what this tool is. Catch this, Adam. He said, it's like somebody walked into your store and you didn't say hi to them.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
If you were at the store, would you let somebody walk in and just mosey around? No, you'd walk up and say, "Hi, welcome to my store. How can I help you?"
Yeah, great analogy. So you've read my mind there on a couple of questions that I was going to ask you about groups and everything else, Wayne. Maybe let's have a look at the ROI question, because I know a lot of business owners and CEOs or decision makers, they're fixated on this issue of what's the ROI of LinkedIn. And I'm really keen to hear how you address that with skeptical people.
What I try to tell people to do on this question of ROI is, first, start by defining the people that your target market. Who are the people that you want to meet? And then spend a few minutes going into your current network and breaking down your network into, make up a list, Excel spreadsheet, I don't care. I want to know how many people you have in your network that are in your target currently. And then when we begin the journey of actually being strategic on LinkedIn, we're going to keep track of how you're going to grow your network and who those people are with just a data sheet, right? And then we'll be able to step back and say, okay, in the last 6 months, we've made this many connections with this many decision makers in my target audience. And then if we're doing the right thing with sharing status update and publishing posts, because now they're going to go to those people, you will be able to begin to see interactions that you'll be able to tie back to the fact that I didn't know this guy, until we became a connection on LinkedIn. And there you're going to have your ROI. Now, there's a little bit of tracking that you got to do. But if you're going to try to figure out an ROI, you're going to have some tracking, right? I mean, that's just the way it works. So I think, to me, LinkedIn doesn't have a lot of built-in great tools for that right now, although there are some pretty cool analytics, especially in this published post area. So the ROI is going to be, it's going to really take you back to the fact that you're trying to have relationships, and we can define a relationship by connection on LinkedIn, especially if we do something like that thank you note. Think about that thank you note. You could track those thank you notes and see how many of those thank you notes got you a phone call or a Skype or whatever your next step is in your business process, right? It's easy to track. I sent this many thank you notes. These 3 guys got back to me, and one of them I set up an appointment. Okay, now we can see. We'll be able to track it from the thank you note to what happened.
Yeah, that's a wonderful LinkedIn feature in context now, is where you can actually, tag people and add a note, mention how you met. And I find that a fantastic tool, particularly for people starting out with LinkedIn who may not have but a separate CRM, a customer relationship manager. But it's a great way for those people to actually be keeping a list of all the people in their network. And exactly as you say, if they're a person who you think you would like to do business with in due course, reach out to them, do the follow-up, do the message, but then also keep a record in their profile, and it's all private. You keep notes about other people, and they can't see them, but you can tag them and you can set reminders to follow up. So you might actually say in 3 months' time, follow up with this person who said he wasn't ready now or whatever, or you might make a note in that person's profile that they're into dog shows or something like that, and you can actually set reminders and follow-up, so you can be super proactive and super strategic in forming and nurturing these relationships, so that I think you essentially guarantee an ROI because you're being generous and helpful and systematic about it. And in due course, naturally, some of these people are going to like you and want to do business with you eventually, or refer you to people who will do business with you. Yeah,
I mean, in my end of the world, hardly anybody knows that tags all those those 4 tabs in relationships, that they even exist. How about in your world?
Look, a few of them do. Certainly people that have seen me speak, I show them that feature and they're blown away. That and the advanced search feature, phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. So Wayne, we're just about out of time, but I was going to remind listeners that they can get your weekly LinkedIn tips. I've been receiving them for quite some time. On that speaking roadshow I mentioned earlier in the show, there was a speaker, Ron Wilson, who was talking about networking and relationships. And one of the first things he says in his presentation is to look you up and to subscribe to your powerformula.net website to get the weekly tips. So there's many Australian mortgage brokers who will be following your work, whether you know it or not. Everybody speaks very highly of you. So just to recap, for people to look you up, it's Wayne, W-A-Y-N-E, and then Breitbarth, B-R-E-I-T-B-A-R-T-H. That's correct, isn't it?
You did it.
And the website is powerformula.net.
That's correct.
Awesome. And the book is Power Formula for LinkedIn Success, available on Amazon. You're into your 2nd edition, sold thousands and thousands of copies. Is there any final words of wisdom or anything you want to get off your chest before we call it a day?
No, I really appreciate you having me on and talking to your audience. And it's been a real blast being with you. I sure hope we can do it again.
Absolutely, Wayne. I look forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Cheers. Okay, that's a wrap, and what an episode. Now, Wayne certainly delivered the goods there. There was a couple of things that I'm going to touch on that I hadn't realized yet and hadn't put into practice, but in the 12 hours since I did that interview with Wayne, I have actually started putting it into practice, and I'll tell you what that is shortly. It's the fact that he has an invitation to people who ask to connect to them on LinkedIn. He takes those people and he invites them one by one to subscribe to his mailing list or his emailing list. That was really huge, I thought, because me personally, it's built up over the years. I should have probably cleared it out, but other things have taken priority. But I've got about 781 people who connect with me on LinkedIn. Now, most of the people that I haven't accepted just do the generic, I'd like to be your LinkedIn contact, and no other explanation as to how we might know each other. In fact, what I normally do is I go through and scan it and accept the people that I know. Of course, some do slip through, and I've just been going through it again post-interview with Wayne and picked up a couple of people that that I do actually know that I accidentally missed. But what I have started to do, thanks to Wayne's suggestion, is if I don't really know them or they're not really in marketing or something else, they just seem to have asked to connect with me randomly. And even the people who are in marketing, I'm actually writing back and saying, hi, for example, Michelle, I'm honored that you reached out to connect. I'm a bit swamped in here at the moment, and I'm wondering if you'd like to connect with me via my Bluewire news emails. I'll also send you the 33 marketing templates from my book. Here's the link. Cheers, Adam. And I've only just started doing it, but I've set up a special landing page where those 33 marketing templates are housed. So what I'll be able to do is report back to tell you how many people have joined my Bluewire news list from inviting them through LinkedIn. So that was one really great thing I thought that Wayne suggested there. The other things, this is just the common sense of it, really, particularly when he says, do that 1% extra effort, make that 1% extra effort when it comes to reaching out to somebody. If it means a lot to you, if it's a high value target, if it's a job or a promotion or a client or something that could potentially be worth lots of money to you, take the time to actually see if you've got any mutual contacts, but don't just stop there. Call or contact these mutual friends and ask them about that particular person. Ask them what they're like, and if nothing else, if they just say, yeah, he's a good mate, well, that's perfect, because then you can mention that when you reach out to the target and say, I gave such and such a call, he said you were good buddies. There we go. It shows, it demonstrates that you've gone to that extra effort because that relationship means a lot to you. So look, at the end of the day, you've got every single professional and business owner on LinkedIn. All their details are there, all their work history is there. It's up to us to work out strategic ways to form and build and strengthen relationships with all these people. That's up to us, but Wayne has certainly given us some really, really valuable tips on how to do that. Okay, so that is the end of this show. As always, the intent is to deliver actionable advice, and I think Wayne has done that in spades. Toby and I are always open to your feedback, and you can email me at adam.franklin@bluewiremedia.com.au or tweet me at Franklin_Adam, or LinkedIn me. It's even more appropriate for this podcast. If you do want to LinkedIn me, I'm just on there as Adam Franklin, but just write a short message saying that you've listened to the podcast, and then we can connect straight away. I actually had a few nice LinkedIn messages come in just this week. One lady telling me that she'd won her first customer based on some of the stuff that Tobes and I spoke about earlier on in our podcast. So that was really cool. But no, more and more people like you listening to the podcast are connecting via LinkedIn and via email. So I do appreciate it. It makes my day every time somebody reaches out to say hi. So yeah, jump onto LinkedIn and come and say g'day. All right, just to wrap up, the show is brought to you by our book called Web Marketing That Works. Plus, there's a gift for you, which is the 33 free marketing templates. They're all yours if you head over to bluewiremedia.com.au/book. Finally, thank you for listening to the end. And if you've enjoyed the show, and I really hope you did, then a short review on iTunes would mean the world to us. It really does help increase our visibility on iTunes, which means more downloads and more guests that we can get on the show. So we appreciate all the reviews, and that's it for me. I'll catch you on the next show.